Welcome to Justice Losers, a podcast where we talk about pop culture media, namely movies, TVs, and comics. I'm your host, Preston, joined as always by my delightful co-host,
Matt.
Matt, what should people do?
Like, subscribe, tell a friend, leave a fight in the comments. Wait.
Start a fight in the comments.
Start a fight in the comments.
If you disagree with something we say, tell us, and then fight with each other about it, and then we will watch entertained. Gage is here.
Hello, everybody. This is exciting.
153 episodes. You've been listening since the beginning. You are our actual editor, and you are one of our best friends, and it took you this long to get on the episode. Vampires! Vampires!
Bleh.
Vampires are the thing. Bleh. I'm going to jump right to the end of my thing, and I'm going to list all of the reasons in mythology of how you can become a vampire.
Yes.
You are born with an extra nipple, a tail, extra hair. You are the seventh child if all six were the same sex. You were born too early. Your pregnant mom encountered a black cat, or she didn't eat salt, or was looked upon by a witch or vampire, or being born out of wedlock, or unnatural death, or before baptism. Or unnatural death, or before baptism, or red hair and blue eyes, or being excommunicated, or desecrating a religious day, or committing a great crime, or dying alone, or having a cat jump across your grave, eating meat from a sheep killed by a wolf, being cursed, being a magician, or an immoral person, committing suicide, improper burial, being conceived on specific days, talking to yourself, and incestuous conception. So, by definition, we are all goddamn vampires.
Boy, I think I check each and every one of those boxes.
So, vampires.
Vampires.
This is part 3. In our 4-episode series of talking about specifically common archetypes in horror.
Mm-hmm.
We've already talked about werewolves and zombies, which embody fear of beast versus man, and fear of people dirtying your house.
Basically.
And so now vampires. What we seek to answer is why vampires are such a popular thing. And again, vampires go back to before we can really mark history.
We should maybe start by defining what a vampire even is. There's so many iterations of what a vampire could get in there.
Yeah, okay, there's all of these versions of vampires are very kind of around the hazy definition of a vampire.
Sure. I think in essence, a vampire as we know it today is just something, an undead thing that drinks things life force, blood. Is that a pretty good definition?
Yeah.
Chupacabra?
Huh?
Chupacabra?
Is that
drinks goat blood.
Oh. Human life force. Dracula. 1895. It still blows my mind that it's that recent. Bram Stoker was incredibly anti-Semitic and wanted something to stoke the fears of Jews. And so what he did is he made a very obvious analog to the Jewish people and made him evil.
Oh.
Now, before we get too far into Dracula, a couple of notes I found too. That wasn't actually the first vampire.
No, the first actual literature was the vampire.
I think that was kind of the birth of the sort of seductive, aristocratic kind of vampire.
Yeah.
As we know it today. Before that, it was all kind of just bestial, undead stuff. Apparently, it was really popular in the newspapers in like the sophisticated societies, London,
Makes sense.
Paris, because they actually used it as just sort of a pat on the back, saying, "Oh, look at we've evolved beyond the silly medieval superstitions of these peasants often in rural Europe."
Sort of fun fantasy literature.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they thought they had evolved past this and they didn't want to, they weren't going to deal with these superstitions anymore. And then the vampire came along and turned it from this peasant superstition into this now sort of aristocratic circles that lives kind of in this sophisticated society of where it was. So that was kind of the transition.
What if you were the real vampires all along?
Maybe.
What if the real vampire was the friends we made along the way?
I think so. But then there's Carmilla too, is one I heard of. I actually...
Yes, the French one.
Yeah, in preparation for this, I posted on the Vampires Reddit feed, actually, and just got sort of feedback on people's favorite bits of vampire lore. And that's one that came up a couple times. Thanks, Reddit.
You're welcome.
Why do I not have that?
And it was like 26 years before Bram Stoker's
Mhm.
Dracula.
But it was
know.
written by a woman.
Written by a woman.
So
had some lesbian themes.
Yes.
Pretty
Okay.
explicitly. Granted, the lesbian was kind of like the villainous sort of aspect coming out, so not super woke as the kids call it, but
But yeah, no, it kind of was there were several little beginning iterations, and then Bram Stoker's Dracula made it like to America and across to the East and stuff like that, where it became, look, a vampire. The main tension in the book, there are the tension in the moments in the book where, oh shit, he's standing right in front of me and I'm gonna die. But for the most part, the tension of the book is like, things are not right. And something might happen, but we don't know what.
even knowing that it's Dracula, it was still interesting because it added that dramatic irony that you know that Dracula's a bad dude, but you're just hoping and praying that he figures it out in time.
Oh, I root for the vampires.
Oh, well, in that case, you're
Team Edward. No. Yes,
Yeah.
Team Edward.
Yeah.
Like, it just does this amazing job of Dracula is not in the book for like 80% of the book.
True.
Because the point of the book is that it's like there's this unknown like force that is just ruining things. And you can't see it. You have no clear means of stopping it. It puts this uncertainty the entire book. And that's the point of Dracula, is the uncertainty. The movies make the story about Dracula. And that, I think, removes the fear of what makes vampires scarier than the other ones. Is that they're just kind of around. And that's something that, like, even Twilight does. Yes, for the people listening, I did watch Twilight for this episode. So we have that little element.
Okay.
Of the unknown. Now, the movies that I did watch. Here's a list of the movies that I watched. So Isle of the Dead, Daughters of Darkness, Ganja and Hess, The Hunger, Fright Night, Interview with the Vampire, Twilight. I've seen What We Do in the Shadows, and I saw the first half of Byzantium. I got busy with work. The vampires are around us. And it's a much different fear from... the whole point of these 4 episodes is to figure out why these are the ones that are so distinct from each other, why they haven't blended into each other. They've been so distinct. Is that werewolves, you're restricted to, like, they're kind of among us, but really they're only scary when they're at night, when they are wolves, and they lose control as the beast.
And they're a little externalized. Like, it's the monster in the woods that's going to come eat you, not
Exactly,
yeah.
And zombies... You're not going to be a zombie unless you're iZombie on the CW. You're not going to be a zombie and just kind of be around. People are going to know. Yeah. But vampires just kind of be around us and then eat us when we don't know it's coming. But that's the thing is you could be a vampire. So what's terrifying about a murderer that's among us?
Well, I mean, the uncertainty plays into your own paranoia. You can start to attribute normal things.
Jonathan Harker when he comes back.
You can attribute normal things to there's something among us. It's sort of the conspiracy theory mindset almost.
Yeah. If we're around 60 people and then one person shows up dead, holy shit, there's a murderer. Who is it? And alibis may be missing, like motives may happen. It's the like whodunits, but on a you're gonna die level.
You're gonna be the done.
You're gonna
be the it which was done.
You're gonna be the man with which it has been done, to which it has been done, and if we're talking vampires, probably with which.
Yeah.
Which goes in the other one, the erotic sense. So you like to have sex, right?
So they tell me.
Humans like sex.
Who'd have thunk?
Humans like sex. Humans need sex as much as humans need food and drink. It's one of the physiological needs. pseudoscience can be argued that you don't need sex to survive. You need food and water to survive.
Mm-hmm.
But it is considered one of the physiological needs. Now let's say you like food, right?
Yeah.
You need food to eat.
Yeah, no, food is good.
What if when you're eating, it just stabs you in the face? Kind of makes you scared to eat. It takes one of your physiological needs, the thing that appeals to you, and it's just like, what if it killed you? Not only what if it killed you, what if it killed you and you didn't die? It just turns that on you, like, so.
It does turn me on.
Yeah. So many of these stories include sex. Even Dracula, it's not an erotic book, but there are elements where Lucy is like, oh my god, I'm so worried, like, what's happening? I feel like shit. And then she switches, and the book actually describes the fact that her voice went deeper and more, like, seductive.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, she was like, hey, get away, like, I might damage you, my love. Come here. The book doesn't dwell on the erotic, but it's that element of just like, my wife is beckoning to me, even though she literally just told me if I get near her, she's gonna bite me.
Well, it kind of plays back into that paranoia thing,
Yeah.
right? Like you're going about your normal, everyday, physiologically required sexual activities. But in the back of your head, you got that little running paranoia that's telling you, wait, what if die bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you think about, I mean, vampires in general, how it's really an intimate sort of experience.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, the heart is the organ of love, and they're, you know, getting close and brushing up against your neck or maybe your wrist. Just all the, like,
the
nerve-ending parts.
Erogenous zones.
And
they're drinking the lifeblood of your heart.
Yeah.
And it's all a very
it's
sensual experience.
Yeah, and it's done very sensitively.
I just like that the vampires are the one trope of the four that you want to be involved with. If you see a werewolf, you're gonna run.
Yep.
If you see a zombie, you're gonna run. If you see
or you're gonna shoot it in the head.
Then...
Yeah. Because that's what you want.
That's a great segue into the next point of the appeal of being a werewolf.
Ruined it.
God! The appeal of being a vampire. Being immortal doesn't seem too bad. Like, if we got bit now, I'd be okay with it.
That's really appealing. You know, just permanence, but an easy way out.
Yeah, and it's one of the things is, like, you get Dr. Renfield in Dracula. You get all the thralls, the servants of people, and what do we do in the shadows? You have these people that are just like, I want to be a vampire. And typically those people are a surrogate for explaining why you would want to be a vampire. That's the one appeal to me, but I think there's other appeal, like, you could just have sex with so many people.
Yeah, the power, the eroticism.
Yeah. Well, because that's the other thing about vampires is they are very incredibly seductive. They can read your minds, and they can also pretty much brainwash you.
Yeah, depending on the story, they can literally control you or whatever you want. Also, and they can fly. That's pretty cool.
One of the reasons that Bram Stoker's was so scary and popular is because it involved sex, blood, and death during Victorian Europe, which was just rife with tuberculosis and syphilis.
Good stuff.
Like, it was just everyone's got it, and when it's people having sex and drinking blood and being dead.
Is it all just a syphilis metaphor? The paranoia? Like, you want to have sex, but you're paranoid that you're going to get bit?
It's a giant metaphor for syphilis, tuberculosis, and Jews.
I'd also like to note too that of the four tropes, the vampires are generally considered the most intelligent. And,
yes. That's one of the other things is they're less chaotic than werewolves. Werewolves, you turn into a werewolf and you're just like, I'm gonna murder you. Zombies are just brains. Like, you're an existing thing in front of me, I'm gonna eat you. And then slashers, depending, I don't know what research you've done, like, slashers seem to have a goal. But no, it's instead of a chaotic threat, it's a controlled threat.
It's very structured and methodical, and in some ways that's a different kind of terrifying. Is that it's one thing if you see a zombie, you can run away from it.
Yeah.
And
Or chainsaw in
outsmart
the
it,
face.
or but with a vampire, they're generally considered pretty cunning, and also they've been around, so they have hundreds or thousands of years of experience.
Why do you have to invite vampires in? What's that all about?
I never saw the origin of that.
Yeah.
There's like tons of weird features of vampires that
Mhm.
don't really have a specific origin.
But no, there isn't like really established answers for that. Why you have to invite them in? Why a stake to the heart works?
But yeah, if you actually look into it, there's all those ways to create a vampire. There's just as many ways to actually kill one. Some it's a stake to the heart. Some it's a
You got to behead them, burn them, behead them, put garlic in it. Because the whole thing they did with Lucy is they all right, we got to stake her in the heart, then cut her head off, and then put garlic in her mouth.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, laundry list of let's take care of this.
Some it's like drive a nail through their navel. Some it's drive a nail through their nether regions.
Yeah.
Some it's lots of cooking stuff. One is like boil their head in vinegar, put a lemon in their mouth, put a rose in their mouth, put a crucifix on their mouth, put a garlic in their mouth. There's like a million different ways, and it's all just because the roots are so old, it goes back so far, and from all these different regions, it's just all been cherry picked from different regions.
So do you think the garlic thing is because it destroys the erotic appeal?
I like the idea in some of them where vampires have a very keen sense of smell, so I like the idea that garlic is just really smelly, so they don't like getting close to it. The one thing I'm noticing is, as I did all this research and then I listened to the Dracula audiobook, is that Dracula has like most of the tropes packed into one.
Yeah.
Other stories you'll get like a few here and there. Maybe they're related to wolves or can turn to wolves. Maybe they do bats, or maybe they turn to a mist. Dracula's just like all of them. I think that's a little bit why he's considered like the original stereotypical vampire.
Matt, you come up with the thesis. I've been
Oh,
coming up with
boy.
all the theses.
Vampires introduce an element of paranoia into everyday life. And they have their own appeal to them, which there's, again, kind of like, we didn't really get into this, but kind of like the werewolves, there's the wait, what if I become a vampire and that's evil and bad, but what if I kind of want to? So it's sort of the fear of wanting to become them. Not the fear of becoming them necessarily, but the fear of wanting to become them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But then also just the omnipresent paranoia.
Omnipresent paranoia.
And the sexitude.
And the sexitude.
All right. Shall we?
We shall.
Jesus.